Good morning in Missouri. It's Friday, January 12th, 2018.
Thanks for waking up with us on this very chilly Friday.
You're making me cold every time you say the word chili.
I was going to say, I think we could have thrown one more chili in there for good measure.
Chili.
But if you think back to a couple weeks ago, this is nothing.
That's true.
We were at
That's true.
negative 10, negative 15. We can handle
Sure.
this. This is fine. Here's a look at what we're seeing out your door this morning. Actually, a couple of us within some of those bands of cloud cover right behind that system. We're still seeing a couple of light, really non-accumulating snow flurries. You will still need to take your time on the roads this morning, as anything that was untreated from all of the freezing rain and the sleet and the snow that we saw yesterday could have refreezed overnight, and we could be looking at a couple of slick spots on the roadways. Temperature-wise, that's what we really need to talk about this morning. 30, if not 40 plus degrees colder than we were 24 hours ago. So a lot of us are back into the teens, but we are already into the single digits from Macon into Brunswick and Moberly. From there, we're back into the 20s, not just for this afternoon, but for a good majority of the weekend. Our cold snap this time around, though, isn't going to be as long as the last one. We're going to talk about that next week warm-up coming up in a few minutes.
President Trump is making headlines for a remark he reportedly made during an immigration discussion with lawmakers.
An aide briefed on the meeting told NBC News the president used a swear word to refer to Haiti and African countries. The president asked why America would want immigrants from all these S-word whole countries. The president also went on to reportedly say he'd rather see more immigrants from nations like Norway. A source in the Trump administration says the president was trying to make the case for a merit-based immigration system. The White House later issued a statement that did not deny those remarks.
And while White House officials are not running away from the remark, they are making a political calculation. The president's expletive is being received much differently inside the White House than it is outside of it. Though this might enrage Washington, staffers predict the comment will resonate with the president's base, much like his attacks on NFL players who kneeled during the national anthem did not alienate them.
Both Republicans and Democrats criticized the president for his comments yesterday. Congresswoman Mia Love, whose parents came to the U.S. from Haiti, was among those who criticized the president. In a statement, she said, "The president's comments are unkind, divisive, elitist, and fly in the face of our nation's values. This behavior is unacceptable from the leader of our nation. My parents came from one of those countries, but proudly took an oath of allegiance to the United States and took on the responsibilities of everything that being a citizen comes with. They never took a thing from our federal government. The president must apologize to both the American people and the nations he so wantonly maligned." Democratic Senator Kamala Harris also weighed in on the president's comments. In a tweet, she wrote this: "Immigrants from countries across the globe, including and especially those from Haiti and all parts of Africa, have helped build this country. They should be welcomed and celebrated, not demeaned and insulted."
For its part, the African Union Continental Body says it was alarmed by Trump's comments. President Trump's comments highlight months of concerns about his lack of focus on Africa, including empty ambassadorial posts in key countries like South Africa, Egypt, Congo, and Somalia. At this point, 8 such posts are vacant. It's not the first time President Trump has demeaned Africa. In 2013, he expressed negative opinions about the continent, saying, "Every penny of the $7 billion going to Africa, as per Obama, will be stolen. Corruption is rampant." This comment stands in stark contrast to remarks he made about Haiti.
Running to represent Haitian Americans and African Americans and Asian Americans and everyone who lawfully resides in our borders. We're going to take care of people. We're going to take care of our people.
And here's what's happening right now. The U.S. government's Africa Media Hub tweeted out just moments ago trying to put out the flames sparked by President Donald Trump's comments about African immigrants without directly referring to Trump's statement. The tweet says that, quote, "The U.S. remains committed to working together with Africans to realize the promise of a more peaceful, more productive, more prosperous 21st century Africa. The U.S. deeply respects the people of Africa and values its partnership with them." Guys?
A lot of fallout with this. A lot of discussion about whether or not you could say what he said.
That's right.
On television.
That's a discussion we had earlier this morning.
Lengthy one, yep.
The House of Representatives has voted to extend the FISA surveillance program that targets overseas terrorists. The House voted to reauthorize the FISA program, that's the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, allowing U.S. intelligence agencies to monitor phone calls and internet communications of suspected terrorists operating overseas. The Senate must now pass the act before its authority expires on January 19th. But before the passing of the FISA, there was a behind-the-scenes scramble. President Trump tweeted this, calling FISA controversial, suggesting it was used to spy on his campaign. This confusion forced Chief of Staff Kelly to the Hill to save the legislation the White House supported. Shortly after, the president took to Twitter, posting this tweet praising FISA.
President Trump took to Twitter to announce he's canceling a trip to London. In his tweet, the president blamed his predecessor for selling the U.S. Embassy for peanuts. The first steps to relocate the embassy happened in 2008 under President George W. Bush. According to the Associated Press, in 2015, the State Department said the cost to upgrade the existing embassy would be $550 million and would be less secure than the new embassy.
Democratic Whip Steny Hoyer blasted Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi's remarks about white men working on an immigration agreement. Pelosi was referring to the 5 bipartisan lawmakers, including Hoyer, leading the efforts as the 5 white guys. She asked if they were planning on opening a burger stand, referring to the popular fast food restaurant, Five Guys. Hoyer responded by saying, quote, "That comment is offensive. I am committed to ensuring dreamers are protected, and I will welcome everyone to the table who wants to get this done."
Back in mid-Missouri with some local politics.
Could Councilman Michael Trapp's seat be in danger? That's Columbia Councilman Michael Trapp. KMOH's Chelsea Haynes is live in the studio to tell us who plans on running for his seat. Chelsea, what do you have for us?
Yesterday was Thursday, and you know what that means. Throwback Thursday. I sat down with a man who recalls running for the 2nd Ward Council seat back in 2015. His name is Paul Love, and he's back again for a second go-around. Love says he wants Trapp's seat because of the conflict of interest he has with other local organizations, and says he pushes forth the agenda of higher-ups in our communities, leaving other residents struggling to be successful in other arenas.
I think it's our job to make sure that people don't have impediments to success, rather than trying to find ways to force them to succeed the way we want them to.
Love said it's no secret that he and Trapp have differences on how government should be run, but believes Trapp caters to a population of people that don't represent the majority of the city of Columbia. Love lost to Trapp by 83 votes in 2015 and says whether win or lose, the decision is the people's choice. He says if the people want him on their side, they'll vote for the right person.
All right, Chelsea, thanks. In world news, French President Emmanuel Macron is reaffirming his country's commitment to the Iran nuclear deal. It came during a phone call with President Trump yesterday afternoon. Macron said France is determined to see a strict application of the agreement by all the countries that signed on. The two also spoke about North Korea. Macron called the recently resumed talks between North and South Korea positive signals.
The United Nations says there's been a recent uptick in attacks by the terror group Boko Haram since last September. The new information was presented to the UN Security Council yesterday. The attacks peaked back in November with almost 150 civilian casualties in that month alone. The report also found that the group's use of children as suicide bombers increased by nearly 5 times compared to 2016. In the first 11 days of 2018, 32 people have been murdered in Puerto Rico. That is double the number killed over the same period last year. Officials say a turf war has broken out among drug gangs looking to grab territory after the storm's destruction. The island's police force is understaffed after thousands of officers have called in sick to protest the millions of dollars in overtime payments that the government owes them. No arrests have been made in connection to any of those murders.
10 people in North Carolina are being charged for running a child slavery ring. Authorities say the 10 are part of an alternative religious group that forced children as young as 9 years old to work for little or no money in fish markets and grills. Excuse me. The group lives in a collection of mobile homes in Cumberland County. A North Carolina man wanted in connection with his girlfriend's death was killed in a shootout last night with police. 23-year-old Jonathan Bennett was shot by officers outside Charlotte Police Headquarters. Police say Bennett shot an officer in the leg during the incident. The officer was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. It's unclear what exactly led up to the shooting.
Starting today, Google is beginning to phase out its parental control program. Google says it's planning to release new internet supervision features later this year. Until then, users are being directed to a new Google Chrome program for Android devices called Family Link. The program is currently only available in 4 countries, the U.S. being one of those 4.
The former owner of a luxury British bra maker that supplied lingerie to Queen Elizabeth II says the company lost its royal warrant after she wrote a book disclosing details of fittings at Buckingham Palace. June Kenton said Rigby and Peller lost its right to display the royal coat of arms in 2017 after she mentioned the royals in Storm in a D cup. While Kenton said she never discusses what happens in a fitting room, The book recounts her first meeting with the monarch and her trepidation about being ushered into the royal bedroom.
A winter weather advisory was in effect Thursday across parts of mid-Missouri, causing slippery conditions on the roads. This is at least the third advisory to hit mid-Missouri in just the past month. A Boone County Public Works spokesman says crews had to be out longer than they'd hoped because of the sleet. They worked throughout the night. The biggest concern was refreezing as temperatures dropped later in the day. MoDOT also says crews would continue to treat and plow state-maintained bridges and overpasses as needed.
The highway is fine. I mostly use the highway. It's this inner city roads that are a little slick. So I would just advise everyone to be careful, take your time, don't speed.
To stay up to date on the latest weather and traffic conditions, you can head to our website, KOMU.com, or stick with us on the air here on Channel 8.
Think about driving a car, but without a steering wheel and no pedals. How's that possible? Find out after weather. Tori, do you have anything to say about that?
I don't know. Maybe safer the way I drive some mornings. I don't know. And we are still seeing a few light snow flurries out your doors. Some of those roadways, like she said, could be a little slick out there. We're going to talk more in depth about that and talk about more snowfall expected over this weekend. It's coming up in a few minutes.
Here's a live look over Jefferson City. 5:11 on your Friday morning. You're watching KOMU 8 News today.